You wake up, it is January 1st, 2026. The champagne bottles are empty, the confetti is on the floor, and the new year has officially begun. You grab your keys, head out to the driveway, and make your way to the gas station, just like you have done 1,000 times before. You are thinking about your resolutions. Maybe you are thinking about saving more money this year. Maybe you are thinking about paying down debt, but then you pull up to the pump, and you see it. The price didn't just tick up a few cents. It jumped overnight, and you start looking for the headlines. Did oil prices spike? Did a refinery explode? Is there a crisis in the Middle East causing a supply shock? No, the barrel price of crude is stable. The refineries are running fine. The reason you are paying significantly more this morning isn't global economics. It is local politics. While you were sleeping, while you were toasting to the future, your state government reached into your pocket and pulled out a massive tax increase. Welcome to Michigan in 2026, where the slogan, "Fix the damn roads," has quietly morphed into "Drain the damn bank accounts." And here is the kicker. This isn't just a bad day at the pump. This is the new baseline. What the press releases aren't telling you, what the nightly news is glossing over, is that this gas tax hike is just the tip of the spear. It is one piece of a much larger, much more expensive puzzle that is forcing thousands of hardworking families to ask themselves a terrifying question. Can we actually afford to live here anymore? Welcome back to Tax Hack Pro. I am your host, and today we are dissecting the Michigan gas tax disaster of 2026. We are going to crunch the numbers that the politicians are hiding. We are going to look at the real cost to your family, and we are going to expose the exit strategy that thousands of your neighbors are already using. Before we dive into the deep end of this crisis, I need to know the reality on the ground. Are you a Michigan resident? Did you fill up this week? Look at your receipt. How much did you pay per gallon? Drop that number in the comments right now. I want to build a real-time map of the pain at the pump, because after you watch this video, you're going to want to compare notes with your neighbors to see just how much this is costing us collectively. And if you are tired of being gaslit about taxes, if you're tired of being told that paying more means getting more when you can see the potholes with your own eyes, hit that subscribe button. At Tax Hack Pro, we don't care about the political spin. We care about your bottom line. We break down the financial stories that actually impact your wallet. All right, let's get into this disaster. January 1st, 2026. While you were celebrating, the new gas tax plan went into full effect. Let's look at the raw data, because numbers don't lie. Politicians do, but math doesn't. Prior to this shift, the tax landscape was different. But overnight, Michigan's fuel tax jumped. We are talking about a surge from roughly 31 cents per gallon to 52.4 cents per gallon. Do the math with me. That is a 21-cent increase in a single day. That is a 69% jump in the specific excise tax rate. Now, if you listen to the press secretary in Lansing, they will tell you, relax, don't panic. We removed the 6% sales tax at the pump to balance it out. You will barely notice the difference. Let me translate that political speak for you. They are playing a shell game with your money. They are moving the pea under a different cup and hoping you aren't fast enough to catch it. Here is the mechanism they are hiding. Sales tax is a percentage. It fluctuates based on the price of the commodity. If gas prices crash to $2 a gallon, a 6% sales tax becomes very small. It shrinks. It gives you relief when the market is down. But a fixed excise tax, that 52.4 cents, that is a flat fee. It doesn't care if gas is $1 or $5. You pay that 52 cents on every single gallon forever. By removing the variable sales tax and replacing it with a massive, fixed, inflation-adjusted excise tax, they have rigged the system. They have ensured that even if oil prices plummet, the state's revenue stays high. They have insulated themselves from the market, and they have exposed you to higher guaranteed costs, and that cut for the state. It is generating more than $1 billion in road funding annually. $1 billion extracted directly from the pockets of drivers like you every single year. But wait, it gets worse. Because in the world of government taxation, nothing is ever truly fixed. This new gas tax is tied to inflation. It has an automatic escalator built into the legislation. It is designed to increase by 2.7% for 2026, and it will go up every single year going forward. So, when you see 52.4 cents on the pump sticker today, do not get comfortable with that number. That is the floor, that is the starting line. By 2030, by 2035, with compounding inflation adjustments, we could be looking at a state gas tax that rivals the highest in the nation. We are talking about a future where the tax alone costs more than the fuel did 20 years ago. Comment below, how many gallons of gas does your household buy in a week? 2 cars, a commute to Detroit or Grand Rapids. Maybe 40 gallons a week. We are about to do some math that is going to make you physically ill. Let's talk about the deception. To understand why this hurts so much, we have to look at the history. We have to go back to 2019. This story didn't start in 2026. It has been brewing for years. When the administration first campaigned on fixing the damn roads, the original proposal was a 45-cent per gallon gas tax hike. 45 cents in one shot. It was audacious. It would have given Michigan the undisputed title of highest gas tax in America. The backlash was immediate. The people of Michigan said hell no. Republicans in the legislature said no. Even Democrats in the legislature looked at the polling data and said no, the plan was dead on arrival. It was toxic, but did the administration give up? Did they look at the budget and say, okay, we need to cut spending elsewhere to fix the roads? No, they just waited. They bided their time. They played the long game. And when the political capital was right, they pushed through this compromise plan, the one that just went into effect. Here is the irony. During the campaign, when asked about a 20-cent gas tax increase, leadership called it ridiculous and nonsense. They dismissed it. And then what did they do? They pushed through a 21-cent increase structure. Let me ask you a question, simply as a taxpayer. Does that sound like transparency to you? Does that sound like a government that respects your intelligence? Drop a comment if you feel like the voters were misled. Let's see how many of us are actually paying attention to the Baytan switch. Here is the part that should really infuriate you. If the state was broke, if Michigan was destitute and pennies were being pinched, maybe we could have a conversation about revenue. But let's look at the budget. In 2018, Michigan's budget was roughly $56.8 billion. Fast forward to the proposed 2026 state budget, $83.5 billion. That is a 47% increase in spending in less than a decade, a 47% jump. Inflation was bad, but it wasn't that bad. The government has grown massive. And yet, despite an $83 billion budget, they are still looking you in the eye and telling you, we don't have enough money to fill the potholes on a -75. We need more from you. Where did all that money go? If it didn't go to the roads, where is it? Let's follow the money trail. The state spent $4.5 billion on corporate welfare, handouts to massive companies to bribe them to set up shop here. They spent $125 million on a battery plant involving a company with ties to foreign adversaries. They dropped $15 million on aerial drone projects. They spent $10 million on a zoo. Read that again, $10 million for a zoo. While you are dodging craters on a -94 that destroy your suspension and pop your tires, your tax dollars are going to corporate subsidies and drone experiments. This is the fundamental disconnect. They tell you the gas tax is for roads, but money is fungible. When you give the government more money for roads, it frees up their other money to be spent on pet projects and special interests. Trusting the government to ring-fence this money is a gamble that history tells us you will lose. And if you think, well, I don't drive a gas car, so this doesn't affect me. I drive an EV, I'm safe. Think again. Buckle up because Michigan isn't done with you either. Do you drive an electric vehicle, a plug-in hybrid? Did you buy it because the government told you to go green? Did you buy it to save money on gas taxes? Well, the state noticed. They noticed they were losing revenue from you, so your registration fees just went up. We are looking at about $50 more for plug-in hybrids and about $100 more annually for fully electric vehicles. Let me get this straight. The government spent years subsidizing EVs, offering tax credits, telling you to save the planet. And now that you did, now that adoption is up, they are pivoting. They are taxing you extra because you aren't buying enough gas. It is almost like this was never about the environment. It is almost like it was always about the revenue stream, and it's not just driving. Starting January 1st, 2026, marijuana users are seeing higher costs at the register due to new taxes. They are squeezing every lemon they can find. And let's talk about your income. Michigan has a flat 4.25% income tax rate. It is staying at that level for 2026. Flat tax sounds fair, right? It sounds simple, except you don't pay taxes in a vacuum. You pay them in a bundle. When you combine that 4.25% income tax with the rising property taxes, which are assessed on inflated home values, plus the 6% sales tax on everything you buy, plus the new gas taxes, plus the vehicle registration fees, plus the hidden fees on utilities. What is your real tax rate? Tell me in the comments. What percentage of your paycheck actually stays in your bank account when you add it all up? Is it 30%, 40%? I bet it is more than you think. Let's do the Tax Hack Pro math, the real math, the kind that hurts. The average Michigan driver drives about 15,000 miles per year. Let's assume an average fuel economy of around 25 miles per gallon. That is 600 gallons of gas per year. With a 21-cent effective increase, that is about $126 extra per year per driver. A two-car household, that's $250. $250. That's not that bad, the apologists will say. That's just a few coffees a month. That is exactly what they want you to think. They want you to isolate the number, but you have to look at the compounding effect. Remember that inflation adjustment. That 52.4 cents isn't staying flat. Next year, with inflation, that extra cost goes up, and the year after, and the year after. Over 10 years, with compounding inflation adjustments, you aren't looking at $200. You are looking at thousands of dollars in cumulative additional costs per household, and that is just for the privilege of driving to work. That doesn't count the extra cost of goods, because guess what? Trucks run on diesel. Delivery vans run on gas. When the cost of fuel goes up for trucking companies, do they absorb it out of the goodness of their hearts? No, they pass it on to you, so your groceries get more expensive. Your Amazon deliveries get more expensive. Your furniture delivery gets more expensive. The gas tax is an everything tax because everything you buy travels on a road. We spoke to people on the ground. One Michigan driver put it simply, "I'm not happy about it. I drive for a living, so I mean, it's definitely going to impact my pocket. My margins are already thin." Another said, "I just thought it was crazy. I think the gas prices are already high enough. These aren't millionaires complaining about taxes on their yachts. These are working people, rideshare drivers, delivery drivers. People who are already struggling to make ends meet in an inflationary economy, and now the government just made their job harder." Drop a comment. Are you a gig worker, a delivery driver, someone with a long commute? How much is this costing you personally? Here is what the mainstream media won't tell you. Here is the story Governor Whitmer doesn't want you to read. People are voting with their feet. I am not talking about a few snowbirds heading south for the winter. I am talking about a trend, a structural movement, a demographic shift. People who have had enough of Michigan's tax and spend policies are packing up the U-Haul and heading to states where they can actually keep some of their paycheck. They are going to Florida, no state income tax. They are going to Texas, no state income tax. They are going to Tennessee, no state income tax. And you know what? Those states have roads. Somehow, magically, without bleeding their residents dry with the highest fuel taxes in the region, they manage to pave the streets. They manage to maintain infrastructure. Michigan's population has barely grown. Despite a state budget increasing by 47%, Michigan only added roughly 120,000 new residents over several years. That is stagnation. In economic terms, that is a warning siren. You want to know why? Because young people graduate from Michigan State or U of M, look at the tax burden, look at the job market, and leave. Because families do the math and realize they can save $10,000 a year just by crossing state lines. Because retirees look at their fixed incomes, pensions that don't go up, and make the tough choice to leave the state they have lived in their entire lives because they literally cannot afford the property taxes and the gas tax. This gas tax isn't just a policy. It is one more reason to leave. It is one more straw on the camel's back. Tell me in the comments, have you thought about leaving Michigan? Are you already planning your move? Which state is calling your name? And you want to know the most insulting part of all of this? The roads still suck. I am not exaggerating. Drive down any Michigan highway in February. Count the potholes. Watch cars swerve into the other lane to avoid craters that look like they were made by meteorites. Look at the bridges that have nets underneath them to catch the crumbling concrete so it doesn't hit the cars below. The administration claims this budget makes a record, nearly $2 billion annual investment to fix state and local roads. $2 billion every year. And yet, Michigan consistently ranks as having some of the worst roads in America. How is that mathematically possible? If we are spending billions, why are we driving on gravel? Where is that money going? It is getting eaten up by bureaucracy. It is getting eaten up by inefficient contracting. It is getting diverted. It is not hitting the asphalt. One driver said it perfectly. It just seems like it's taking from one to deal with another. It's not really helping anybody, really. That is the truth they don't want you to hear. This gas tax isn't about fixing roads. If it were about fixing roads, they would have used the $9 billion surplus they had a few years ago to fix the roads. But they didn't. They spent that surplus on everything else. And now they're coming back to you, hat in hand, demanding more. It is about feeding a bloated government budget. It is about keeping the political machine running. And you are just the ATM. But what they are not telling you, here is the part that should terrify you, is that this gas tax is just the beginning. It is the gateway. The governor has already floated the idea of a mileage tax, a road usage charge. They know that as cars become more fuel efficient, and as more people switch to EVs, the gas tax revenue will eventually drop, so they are preparing the next trap. They are looking into a program where they track how many miles you drive and tax you based on that. Let that sink in for a moment. They want to track your driving, every mile, every trip to the grocery store, every drive to see your grandma, every vacation. They want to log it and then they want to send you a bill for it. She pointed to Oregon's voluntary program as a model. Voluntary for now, but how long until it is mandatory? How long until they say, well, to make it fair, we need to put a GPS tracker in everyone's car? How long until they implement surge pricing for roads? Oh, you want to drive at 8 a.m. That will cost you double. This is where we are headed. A surveillance state where the government knows everywhere you go, and they charge you for the privilege of traveling in your own state. Comment below if you think this is insane. Comment below if you think tracking citizens' movements for tax purposes crosses a line. Let's see if anyone is still paying attention to privacy in 2026. This is the big lie. They tell you we need more money to provide services. No, you don't. You need to stop wasting the revenue you already have. You need to stop giving billions to corporations. You need to stop funding projects that have nothing to do with infrastructure. Michigan had a $9 billion surplus. That is B with a billion. Did they fix the roads then? No. Senator Eric Nesbitt, who is looking at the governor's mansion in 2026, said it perfectly. Like every Democrat governor before her, she's pushing for higher taxes in the name of fixing the roads. And once the money is in her hand, she's going to spend it on everything, but it is history repeating itself over and over, and Michigan residents are the ones paying the price. So what can you do? You feel stuck. You feel angry. But you have options. Option 1, vote. 2026 is an election year. The governor is term limited. There will be a new administration. This is your chance. Make your voice heard. Vote for candidates at the local and state level who will actually prioritize fiscal responsibility over tax increases. Look at their voting records, not their commercials. Option 2, speak up. Call your state representatives. Email them, show up to town halls, be the squeaky wheel. Make it clear that you are done being the government's piggy bank. Remind them that they work for you. Option 3, plan your exit. This is the nuclear option, but for many, it is the only logical one. If you are young, if you are mobile, if you can work remotely, seriously consider whether Michigan is where you want to build your financial future. Run the numbers. Compare tax burdens between states. You might be shocked to find that moving to a state like Tennessee or Florida essentially gives you a 10% raise instantly, just by removing the state income tax and lowering your cost of living. Option 4, stay and fight. Some of you are going to stay. You love Michigan. The lakes, the summers, the people. It is your home. If that is you, then you have to fight like hell to make this state better. You cannot be passive. You have to hold politicians accountable. Demand transparency. Demand audits of the road funding. Michigan, you are at a crossroads. You can keep accepting higher taxes, broken promises, and roads that look like war zones. Or you can demand better. This gas tax isn't just about gas. It is about respect. It is about whether you are going to let politicians treat you like a cash cow, or whether you are going to stand up and say, enough. So I am asking you, what are you going to do? Drop your answer in the comments. Tell me, how much are you paying for gas in Michigan right now? Do you think the promises were broken? Are you planning to leave? What would it take for you to stay? If this video opened your eyes to what is really happening in Michigan, smash the like button. It helps get this information out to more people who are currently sleeping through this crisis. If you want to stay informed about the financial policies that are quietly destroying the middle class, subscribe to Tax Hack Pro. And if you know someone in Michigan who needs to see this, a friend, a family member, a coworker complaining about gas prices, share this video with them right now. We aren't here to make you feel good. We are here to give you the facts so you can protect your money. The question is, are you ready to see the truth? I'm the Tax Hack Pro. I'll see you in the next one. Protect your wallet.